morning and welcome to SimWorld today, Thursday, March 20th. It is a great day to be in SimWorld prep, but it's an even better day to be Ceej because we're all blessed with his appearance right now. Good morning, Ceej. Welcome back to the show.
Morning. It's a great day to be Siege. I woke up early enough this morning, so I'm excited. I'm excited.
Early
Yeah.
enough, probably about 5 minutes ago by the looks of things.
Yeah, but make it four. Make it four.
I mean, that's the sign of a true professional. Gets up and is ready to rock and roll. Now, it's a good day for SimWorld Prep because it is day one of the quarterfinals and day one of one. But we're talking SimWorld U because that's why we got Ceej on here. We're bringing experts in to tell us what to watch for, and we had a huge day last night. So we're playing a little game. It's going to be called Make the Case. We've done it on the Marsh Pod. We got to bring it over here to get a more intelligent opinion on it. So we're going to pick three teams. You see by the bottom line, we're going to start with Kansas, who had a massive win last night on the road against Texas. So Ceej, help us out. Make the case for Kansas as a national champion.
I mean, 11-1 in the last 12. They're looking really good. This is a team that really thrives off of ball movement. They thrive off of rebounding, getting to the boards, getting to the glass, second chance opportunities, and not allowing second chance opportunities. But really, it's moving the ball. You look at this team; they're fifth in the country in assists per game. They move the ball really well. You got stars like Nas Hall, who's a freshman. Sometimes that can pose issues, but explosive guards are what you want when it comes to hoop stereo. When it comes to a tournament like that, you want a guy who can give you 30 on any night. And next to him, you got Madison Miles, the third, who has been really sensational in the second half of the season. When you got two guys like that, can score the rock, the team moves the ball well. I think really the key for this team is their ability to continue moving the rock and for their kind of surrounding role players to, one, be able to put the ball in the basket, which seems like an obvious one, right? But also, two, just be able to defend well. This Kansas team can score with anyone, eighth in the country in scoring, but can they defend? Can they keep the other team from, putting up more points than them? That's going to be my big thing. Ball movement and defense. If they can do that, this team can make a run. I think it's going to be a tough one with the personnel, but I think they absolutely can, and they're getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, they look like the team that made it to the quad last season. That's what they look like. They look like a team that has Madison Miles, who was fantastic a year ago in hoop stereo. 24 points in their upset of Kentucky in the Elite Eight. 22 in their beatdown of UCLA in the Sweet 16. They fell to UConn because all but one team has fallen to UConn over the last 2 years, but they look like the team that they were last season. And the line in the sand for this group, their defense has been completely different in the second half of the season, right? That 8-6 start where it was, who are they? They'd have spurts of greatness and these 2-game losing streaks mixed in there. Their defense has been absolutely stunning. Their offense really hasn't changed much at all, but they look like the team they were last year. So to make the case for me, it's Madison Miles now has a legitimate number two, and it's not for right now, but eventually we're going to have to start having the conversation of where is Nas Hall ranking in the hierarchy of freshmen, because Arthur Lattimore, Justin Bell, Nas Hall might not be too far behind him because he's playing like it right now, leading a team in scoring that is up there among the nation's best offensive groups. This team has looked, like we said, completely different in the second half of the season. They're going to rise up. I mean, they're number 9 right now. This looks like a top 6 team to me. I think they could jump Memphis in the next poll. I don't think that Texas really falls out of that top 4 range, but this was a huge win for Kansas to put themselves in the driver's seat, Ceej, in the Big 12.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I've said this a million times over the course of the season, and I'll keep saying it every single year. Basketball is all about getting hot at the right time, and this Kansas team is very hot at the right time. So we'll see what the Jayhawks can do.
And the schedule only gets lighter from here. TCU, Kansas State, Baylor, Iowa State, Oklahoma. Kansas State, the only team in that bunch to close out the year for Kansas that is above 500. All right, let's head out to the Pac-12, where the leader of the Pac-12 is in action tonight. That is UCLA, number 11 in the country, but on a 2-game losing streak. They're powered, of course, by Jalen Snow, likely lottery pick, and Gerald Carroll, a very likely first-round pick. So, Ceej, make the case. What is UCLA going to do to win a national championship?
Well, UCLA doesn't have as good of a record as Kansas, but what I will say is UCLA is better equipped to win a national championship, if you ask me, by a pretty good margin. They're a better scoring team by a small margin, fifth in the country in points per game. They're a better assist. They are almost as good moving the ball, seventh in the country assist. They're surprisingly fifth in the country when it comes to swatting shots, 4.2 blocks per game, which they don't necessarily have the largest front court, but they got a couple guys who just know how to play defense. But really, what really makes this team dangerous is their 3-point shooting percentage.
Yeah.
They're an incredibly efficient team from beyond the arc, which if you watch a couple games, you might not know it because Jalen Snow can be flame throwing sometimes. He'll just be chucking up threes. But I think Jalen Snow really is the key to this. I actually had someone ask me the other day, and it sounds like a crazy question when you first hear it, but who's the better ISO player? Who's the better one-on-one scorer? Is it Jalen Snow or is it CKC? And at first, I thought to myself, it's a little bit of a crazy question. You know, CKC, we always call him the best ISO scorer in SimWorld U. And then I thought about it, and I think there's a case for it to be Jalen Snow. Jalen Snow can get any kind of bucket he wants at any time. He reminds me of Damian Lillard, and to be honest, I don't know what player I'd rather have on my team for a tournament run than a Damian Lillard. Yeah, sometimes he goes a little cold, but when he's hot, there's simply no stopping the kid. And like you mentioned, you got LaGerald Carroll next to him, who's almost just like just as good when it comes to shooting the rock. Some could argue better, more efficient. This team is the most efficient team from beyond the arc in the country. That's the scariest thing you can play in the tournament, in my opinion. This UCLA team, I actually think is a great dark horse to win it all.
I think there is a very real chance that Jalen Snow ends up being a top 3 pick in the SWBA draft. He is that good, and he has been playing that well. He's got the frame, he's got the explosiveness, and he's got the 3-point shooting. And this UCLA team, I always hate doing this because it sounds like I'm just a homer every single time I bring it up, but it reminds me of Golden State. Here we go. Put it on the checklist. Took us 9 minutes to get there. 2 elite scorers on the outside in Jalen Snow, who can also create off the dribble, and LaGerald Carroll, who cannot create off the dribble but is a deadly 3-point shooter. And then you've got these other pieces around him who can play make. JJ Ortega does a fantastic job of getting into the paint, getting free throws. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but he moves the ball around. You got other guys like Edmund Nesbitt, a great 3-point shooter, or I should say a reliable 3-point shooter, which makes it that you can't just sell out on Carroll and Snow to stop them. And it just reminds me of peak Golden State, where you had this, really you only had 2 great 3-point shooters on that team, because Draymond Green was not, and Andre Iguodala was not. We're talking pre-Kevin Durant. But they move the ball, they get free throws, they get into the paint, and they force the defense to contract and react to that. That's what UCLA is doing. This recent 2-game losing streak to me doesn't overly concern me, Ceej, because I know, like you said, when Jalen Snow needs to take over, he's one of the best scorers in all of college basketball.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, you could go ahead and say, I mean, he's going to get to the SWBA, and I don't think that's even a bold take, top 3. I think he absolutely could be, especially if he keeps playing like this through the tournament. He's going to get to the SWBA and immediately be a scoring threat. So there's no reason he's not going to be a scoring threat all hoops area. I really like this UCLA team. I'm excited to see what they do.
Their schedule: Stanford tonight, USC, Colorado, Utah, Washington, Arizona. A much harder schedule than what you look at who we just talked about, Kansas. There's really only 2, like, you really should win these games, Stanford and Washington. Utah obviously fighting to stay alive as a potential title game. Colorado, USC, Arizona, all the same. So you're looking at a lot more teams that are at or around 500. So the schedule isn't easy, but it'll be a test here for UCLA to close it out. All right, let's head to our last one. We're going to head back to the ACC. Not really back, we didn't start there. With North Carolina. They are 14-9. They're number 14 right now in the country. And we're choosing teams that are kind of on the fringe right now as we get some SimWorld prep highlights for you. North Carolina, though, Ceej, make the case for them as a national champion.
Yeah, I mean, this one's gonna have to be me playing devil's advocate because I don't know that I believe that they have a case. But there is certainly a case, and what it is, I mean, they're the best scoring team in the country. We just talked about 2 of the top 10 scoring teams in the country. North Carolina is the best scoring team in the country. And on top of that, they're the best rebounding team in the country. Those are 2 of the basic tenets of basketball there, baby. You rebound, you score the ball, you got a chance to win. They always tell you, you score more points than the other team, you're going to win. This North Carolina team's got that. Bam Wallace, he's a future first round pick. By future, I mean this year, but he's a first round pick. He's got a great frame. He's listed as a forward, plays like a guard. I'm a big Bam Wallace believer. I don't know if he's quite as explosive as a Jalen Snow or a Nas Hall when it comes to scoring, but he can absolutely get it done. And he's a better defender than the both of them. And then you got a great freshman point guard in Kasim Porter Jr. who facilitates well. He defends really well. I do like this team. I have my questions, but the case is there. They're the best scoring team in the country, so teams are going to have to keep up with them. Every team that plays them has to keep up with them, and if they can make other teams play their game, which is just get out and run, score the rock, of course they have a chance. Of course this North Carolina team has a chance, yeah.
Yeah, the case for them is what version of defense are we getting? Because Kasim Porter can be a disruptive point of attack defender, and I've always been very high on Bam Wallace. He's an anomaly in this draft in that 6'7" range, but he can shoot a three. The rest of the class is either 6'4" and smaller, right? The Jalen Snow grouping that shoots the three, or the forwards that are 6 foot. What's that? Jason Tata. Yep.
Don't forget about him.
Sure, fair enough. But then the other forwards are 6'8" and above, and they don't have a perimeter game, and that's where Bam Wallace kind of sits in the middle ground. The case would be you get good perimeter defense from Kasim Porter Jr., you get good interior defense from Kadarius Stack, and then Bam Wallace just as your offensive weapon. And in that loss that they had to Duke I think it was at home, their last loss to Duke, Bam Wallace was fantastic at that game. He did a great job of getting Cooper Flagg into foul trouble. He did a great job of getting into the paint and showing some ability to create off the dribble. That's what they're going to need. If they're going to make a national championship run, it's going to be Bam Wallace looking like not only a first-round pick, not only a lottery pick, but contending for a potential top 10 pick in the upcoming SBA draft. That's where they need Bam Wallace to be at. That's what they're going to have to ride, because no other player on North Carolina's roster can rise to the heights that Bam Wallace can, and if he's not rising to that, I don't think they have a chance of winning a national championship.
It's on Bam Wallace's back. I couldn't agree more there. I think Kasim Porter Jr. maybe can come out and be a little bit better of a scorer, but it's on Bam Wallace's back for sure in my book. So that's where my doubts come. But I'm with you. If he can show out, maybe they can do it.
And it's going to be a big test for a North Carolina team that's been up and down. They've lost two of their last three to Duke and Virginia Tech. Their schedule does not get easier. Syracuse, which it does get easier, but then Georgia Tech, Virginia, Wake Forest, Virginia again, Louisville, and Miami. So you're looking at Georgia Tech, who's a top 25 team. Louisville is a top 10 team. And Miami, who's been playing like a top 25 team over the last month and 3 months. So the schedule does not get easier for a North Carolina team that's really desperate to get some consistency. They have not had a winning streak more than 3 games all season long. It's why they've kind of fluctuated up and down that top 25. You need to win 6 in a row to be a national champion. They have to get that thing rolling right now. All right, that is our show. Ceej, I appreciate you taking the time to help make the case for 3 potential title teams. The TV, though, rolls on back to SimWorld Prep tonight with the quarterfinals, the quad header tonight. That starts at 6 p.m. Heartland Zombie starts, and the number 1 ranked recruit and number 1 ranked team in all of SimWorld Prep, Philadelphia Elite, at 6 p.m. rolls on with Beasts of the East and the Yacht Club at 7. All of that crash course to a championship game coming up Monday night in Houston. So the Last Dance rolls on tonight on SimWorld TV. We roll on tomorrow as we will recap all of tonight's action. Maestro will rejoin the show to break down all of that and get us ready for the semifinals and championship game on Monday. All right, Ceej, thank you again for joining. Always a pleasure. We're back here tomorrow morning on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.
presentation.